everyone doing this morning? All right, it's early in the morning. Want to know what the best part of waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning is? What? You tell me. Come on, where's the laugh? Good morning. All right. You know, I really actually hate getting up early in the morning because I don't really sleep that well. I sleep like my 14-month-old. I wake up every 3 hours crying, and I need a diaper change. All right, let me actually introduce you to someone who's really funny. His name is Jurden, and his star has been rising for the last few years, landing him on multiple comics to watch lists. He was a writer on the Apple TV Plus show The Problem with Jon Stewart, and his comedy album, Jurden, y'all, debuted at #1 on iTunes back in 2020. We asked the up-and-coming comedian to meet us at one of his favorite spots for his first TV interview and for a little surprise.
I think the only people who can wear this shirt are black people and Italian people because Italian people are the blackest of the whites. Now,
Jurden calls it like he sees it.
It's tracksuits and Cadillacs either way.
How would you describe your style of comedy?
Ooh, okay. I would say I'm observational, autobiographical.
I'm actually technically an immigrant. I came here from a small developing nation. That's right, I'm from Mississippi. And so
my multiple lenses, they made this world look so different. Whenever you're starting to come up in New York and doing stand-up comedy, you go to a lot of mics. And there weren't a lot of black, queer Mississippians at those mics.
every New Yorker is like, oh, Jay, you must be happy to be out of the South. The racism down there must be so pronounced. And I'm always like, y'all pronounce it just fine up here.
People are scared to talk about race in a way that a lot of Mississippians are comfortable talking about race because a lot of us, especially black folks in Mississippi, we don't have anything to lose.
The 35-year-old comedian grew up a few miles north of Jackson, the oldest of three.
If you ever saw a movie with a group of white Southern men saying, get them, that's where I'm from. The first time I ever remember doing anything close to stand-up comedy, my mom she took me, my sister, and my brother to see The Nutty Professor with Eddie Murphy at the movies.
When I was young, I used to always have relations every night.
She said, we can talk about this movie in the car. You can't say any of these jokes when you get back to school. And I was like, oh, of course not. The minute I get back to school, it's like a gathering of me and my friends, and I just start doing the characters from the dinner scene.
Look at my little Bill. He's a little Hercules. Show me muscle again. Oh, Hercules.
Yeah, Hercules. And the Cletus, I'll throw this knife between the crack of your... So it was one of those things where I saw my friends laughing, and I was like, whoa, what's going on here?
Jurden's love of performing led him to pursue theater at the University of Mississippi. It's also where he came out as bisexual and found his now husband.
I am married to a dude. Don't clap. He's gay, not happy. There's a difference. And
meeting your husband in a theater department is a bit cliche.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So you live in New York now?
Yeah.
You're a New Yorker. We met up at one of his favorite places to perform, the Comedy Cellar in New York City's Greenwich Village.
People are always like,
yeah, who's
they always go, who is that? Let me see. They'll be like, that's the back of Chris Rock's head. I know it. And then I turn around, they're like, boo.
Stop it.
I don't want you. I don't know who that is.
Comedy greats like Kevin Hart, Sarah Silverman, and Jurden's former boss, Jon Stewart, have all walked through the Cellar's doors. And on this day, so did his mentor.
Roy Wood Jr. was one of the first comedians who I respected and kind of held up here to give me comedic advice. He basically said the only thing that's gonna keep you going in this industry is the ability to take repeated kicks to the chest in the form of no's, not yets, and maybes. Fellow Southerner from Alabama.
I also said do cocaine.
What are you doing here? Oh my God, come here, man. Good to see you.
You ain't done the cocaine yet?
Mama, I have not done the cocaine. This is what cocaine does to you. You show up in interviews that aren't yours, screaming at folks.
He's a great comic, man.
Oh my God.
He's great and just fearless. When young comics reach out, the first thing I do is go back and watch the clips. And
Before you respond, right?
Yeah, straight up just, all right, that one ain't gonna make it. Ain't nothing I can say to help that one. But when I looked at what Jay was doing, also he's a Southerner. I knew in Alabama, you were taught, get the job, get the wife, go to church on Sunday. that dream somehow is irrelevant. If you believe enough in that dream to leave everything that you know, you already have the perseverance.
After a few minutes of catching up, Wood left us to finish our chat.
I always say that my stand-up comedy is for everyone, but there is invisible ink in it. If you're marginalized in any way, there's a little bit of something extra that's just for us.
Last question for you.
No, this is my last question. I'm so happy it's you, Vlad, because my fear is that with CBS, whenever someone sits down with Gayle, they get in trouble. So
with me, no one gets in trouble.
No one gets in trouble.
No one gets in
if
trouble.
If this was Gayle, I'd be like, listen, Gayle, I don't know what happened. I'm sorry.
Start crying.
Man, y'all killing me with this. Like that.
I think
when you guys throw back the studio, can Gayle just look at me and go, Robert?
How about it, Gayle?
Jay, Robert. Guys, I like him.
Isn't he great?
I was not familiar with him, but I love the setup that you did for him.
Yeah. Well, I don't. I can't tell jokes.
And with Roy Wood Jr.
Roy is amazing.
He can.
We are so lucky. You are too. Why? Because our next guest is the extremely funny actress and comedian. Jenny Slate is in the house today. She's starring in her second stand-up special out this week. It's called Jenny Slate, Seasoned Professional. I love that title. Slate hilariously talks about giving birth to her favorite daughter, Ida, why she was, quote, brave for love, and her relationship with her therapist. It's so good to see you.
Thanks for having me back.
I know you hit on so many notes that are very relatable. I love what you were when you took us through the birth of your daughter Ida, and you were very sharing in that moment.
Yeah.
But you also say, can you imagine if men had to deliver babies through their penises?
Yeah.
The story that we'd be telling, like, hey, did you hear the story about Sam? But it's hilarious the way you do it.
Thank you. I'm glad. It's definitely meant to be.
Yes. Mission accomplished.
Yeah, but it's also really good to be able to, even within comedy, just like gently put down some of your observations that might not be like that you thought of first, you know, like going into a comedy set, like, am I really gonna do this, my entire birth story? But it turned out that I really enjoyed it.
And it's very funny.
Yeah.
And you also, the title, I like, Seasoned Professional. You said you went to a hypnotist.
Yeah.
True? You really did.
Yeah.
And the hypnotist said you were a seasoned professional.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? What did that mean to her telling you that?
I think that what it meant, and by the way, that's like the only thing that really got implanted in my psyche. Everything else, because I went for stage fright.
I was gonna say, why did you go? Yeah.
I went for stage fright. Unfortunately, I won, I guess, or whatever. Like, I pushed through the hypnosis and continued to have stage fright. But he implanted this one thing that's like, you know how to do this. You know how to do your job. And before I go on stage, I find myself saying, I'm a seasoned professional. Even though I still have self-doubt and all of that, this is my version of what it means for me to be a full-fledged professional. And I'm happy that it's this complex. I'm pretty proud of it at this point.
It's hard to imagine you having stage fright.
Yes,
You're so commanding on stage, and you work through so many different registers and voices, and it's really nimble. I mean, it's very funny also. I love the story about wanting to confess love to your now husband when you're just starting to date and knowing it's going to be too much.
Totally.
And that chill people don't really exist. That was me, by the way, in my relationship. The roles were reversed. How does that story develop into a whole bit? I mean, did you just start telling it on stage and open mics, or you just knew it was funny in the moment? Like, what's your process like?
I think first it starts in conversation with my friends, and I'm like, what do I really want them to know about my life and how I'm doing, and how can I be honest about it? But, you know, when you're like out to dinner with your friends, you want to be usually entertaining, I think, you know, you have a good personality. And then it's like, I enjoyed that. This is interesting to me. There's an edge to it because it's personal, so that's kind of like the fuel for me. And then I'll start to improvise on stage with it. And eventually it becomes more formed, but not so formed that I'm sick of talking about it.
Yeah.
But your whole thing was being brave for love.
Yeah.
Didn't you like that?
Yeah.
I like how you framed that, being brave for love. What did you mean, being brave for love?
I think it takes a lot of courage to participate in any sort of love. Self-love, romantic love, true love of your ambition or your career or whatever. You have to look at what scares you. You can't just like push your fears aside and plow through. I think to really love means to completely know and understand.
We were talking during the break about your daughter, Ida, and how much you love being a mom.
Yeah.
How would you like her to look back at this period of the body of work that you've done, Marcel Lachelle, all that? What do you think that she would say?
I hope she looks back on it however she wants to. That's up to her, but I hope that she sees me as a person who was confident enough to continue to express myself, even though I do not really identify with a sense of perfection. I more hope that she sees me as someone who tried my best to be truly alive.
Well, are you aware
Very
that
alive
Vlad is a new
Asians.
dad? Jenny, are you aware Vlad is a new dad?
Yes.
Yeah, so the two of you can
Yeah,
really
we were
share.
talking. That's why I was asking about, a lot of things that are coming my way.
Yeah, both of us are technically asleep right now. That's the whole thing.
But you've got a great thing coming up, a Colleen Hoover book. You're going to be starring with Blake Lively.
Yes,
Go,
that's
Jenny.
true. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Which one of her books? She's very.
It ends with us.
It ends with
It
us.
ends with us, yeah. Huge hit.
And I'm just excited to bring it to life for all the fans. It's a big thing. So yeah.
It is.
I'm excited for you, Jenny Slate, cheering you on always.
And the book
Ida's
as well.
mom.
Congratulations.
Back to talk about the book.
I will.
Life
Thank
form.
you.
Don't act like you don't.
Well, there,
know
let's
us.
talk about let's talk about the stand-up.
Jenny Slate, thank you very much. Seasoned Professional is streaming tomorrow on Prime Video.
She became well known for her late-night variety show on Showtime. Now she's releasing a new book of deeply personal essays called Black Friend. Ziwe, good morning. How you doing?
Hello, how are you doing? I'm great.
Thank you for joining us. Black Friend Essays is a collection of deeply personal essays. But you had mentioned before that you don't really like being interviewed.
No.
Yet this is very personal.
Yes.
So why did you decide to write this book?
I love to torture myself, and I thought, what better way than to write 200 pages on pop culture and my most intimate secrets?
And do you feel it was, people often say that these sort of essays are cathartic. Did you find any release?
Yes, I think it allowed me to just put it on the page and then walk away and get asked about it for the next couple months.
You get into some tough stuff here, right?
Yeah.
Repeated experiences of racism. One essay that is both funny and sad at the same time is you are on the Jumbotron, I think at the Barclays Center, WNBA game, and it's Ziwe, everybody, except it's not, right? Tell me what happened.
I thought it was hilarious because I was wearing overalls that did say my name on it, and the other woman, Sam J, was screaming, "I'm not Ziwe, I'm not Ziwe, I'm not Ziwe," as they put her on the Jumbotron as me. So I think it's pretty hilarious. Honestly, it's kind of iconic.
You were actually there to make a point about feminism and
I was
focusing
there
on women.
I was there to support women, and I was repaid for that.
By being mistaken for another woman.
Yes, yes. And, we don't always win, but we learn.
One of the essays, just because you're racist doesn't mean you are a bad person. That one kind of stood out to me. And you went on to talk about how, people are products of their time. But I love the way you ended it, though. You said, so if someone calls you racist, don't be so hard on yourself. You're not a bad person. You're just someone whose entire existence propagates on the oppression of billions of people. And while who you are is not your fault, it is very much your responsibility. So there's humor, there's introspectiveness. It makes you think. When did you realize that I can make someone laugh, but I can also make them think about very, very important issues?
All my life, I've been trying to direct people with my humor. I don't know if it's working, but it's certainly
working.
great on page. I identify as an accountability coach. And so if I can hold anyone accountable, hey, God bless.
Let's hold you accountable for your feet then for a moment here.
Oh, yes.
Shall we? Shall we get into it? There's an essay here about your Wiki Feet rating. Wiki Feet is a website that rates celebrities' feet.
Yes.
Nate, by the way, is a 5.5 on a 5-point scale.
I got pretty feet, Tony.
Just
That's
to let
a
you know,
lot.
you unfortunately, as you reveal in the book, are merely okay feet. That's the rating as of 2019. Have things improved? What was it like learning that?
Thank you for asking. I'm actually here to promote my feet score. It was excerpted in The New Yorker, which helped me go from okay feet to beautiful feet.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
I won't stop until I'm the best feet on earth.
Until you beat Nate's score.
Yeah, 5.3, compared to
Yeah.
your score is...
Yeah, it's better. Yeah, I'm a 4.8 currently.
It's not bad. It's not 5.3.
It's not. I have to. Gail's not here to defend herself, but I looked up her rating here, and she's currently okay feet.
We call that hammer time.
Oh man!
All right, I'm going to take over the conversation. Leave poor Gayle out of this. So, Ziwe, for you, you know, you're a Nigerian American. Your parents have played obviously a huge role in your life, but they haven't actually read your book or watched your show. Is that still the case?
Yes, my father loved my interview with Bob the drag queen, which I thought was really interesting and fun. Yeah, so my father has. My mother doesn't really engage with it, but maybe this will be the book.
Why is that?
Because she is a conservative American. Yeah.
Well, can I ask you?
And I'm bad to the bone.
You're bad to the bone. Your mom might be a conservative American, but kind of all jokes aside, how does that make you feel? You know, the woman that you kind of look up to in so many ways doesn't really pay attention deeply to what you do and put your passion behind.
Who am I to judge what people prioritize in what they consume? I think if anything, I see the other side.
Really?
So, yeah.
And what am
I going to be like, hey, read my book and hold her eyes open? That would be insane.
I would say that to my mom and my dad because I love them so much and I want their opinion.
Oh.
And that might be kind of rooted in wanting their validation, but I think we all kind of want that from our parents.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm going to call them right after this, and I'm going to ask for their opinion.
Do it on
No, but I love how involved you are. She's like, I don't need that. This is my reality. I'm going to do what makes my contribution in the world. I love what you do just to make conversations about race. It's easy, accessible, lower the temperature a little bit because I think the problem is we don't talk about it enough.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
Where do you think the funny comes from? I mean, in your family tree, do you have some...
Nigerians are the funniest people on earth. Yeah. That's just true.
Okay, I'll buy it.
Ziwe, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming in. Her book, Essays of Black Friend, go on sale tomorrow. We will be right back.
Now to the new project from Gayle King and her husband, that would be Emmy winner Keegan-Michael Key. I like that, about their love of sketch comedy. So you probably remember Key from his sketch show with partner Jurden and the musical land of Schmigadoon. I love that show. He also helped out then President Obama at the 2015 White House Correspondents' Dinner playing his anger translator. Remember this too.
Focus on billionaire donors creates real problems for our democracy.
And that's why we're running for a third term.
No, we're not.
We're not?
No.
Who the hell said that?
Oh, man. The couple's new book is a history of sketch comedy, a journey through the art and craft of humor. So this book includes original essays from comedy giants like Mel Brooks, Carol Burnett, Chris Rock. Gayle King and her husband, that would be Emmy winner, Keegan-Michael Key, joined us both. Hello, Gayle King and your husband.
Good morning, Vlad.
Welcome. I know it's so hard because this book is part memoir, part history.
Yeah.
I know it's a combination of all sorts of things. Part what's happening in real life. But I want to start because there's a line in the book where you say, Keegan, that comedy is really, I want to get this right, not just part of your profession, but part of your soul.
Yes.
That stood out to me. How so?
It's part of how I breathe, and the biggest thing I think for me is that it's how it affects other people.
Yeah.
It's the fact that you're giving joy to others and you're sharing joy with others. You know.
And comedy brought you two together, sort of, kind of, wouldn't you say? How so? Because you have a background too in comedy.
Yeah, I grew up in a very funny family that liked to tell good hard jokes, we call them, like jokes with setups and punchlines. And as a kid, was lucky enough to spend some time in the Catskills and saw some pretty amazing comedy greats. And then worked on a sketch show in college, been working in the industry a long time. And when we first met, we were talking about things that we both liked in humor and talking about projects that we liked and what we liked about them and how we had similar senses of humor and liked certain turns or certain things that went a certain way or wordplay.
Yeah.
And the two of us kind of just geeked out on the science of comedy at the very first, real meeting.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, that's what I love about this book, too. And, Gayle, you said it. I mean, you said, Elle, that it will help readers gain a deeper appreciation, a deeper understanding of comedy. And we were talking in the green room. I was saying to you both that as a child, I used to love watching Jack Benny, who is featured in the book.
Right.
That great bit where a mugger approaches him and says, your money or your life, and Benny, is... I'm thinking, right?
I'm thinking.
You used to like Jack Benny?
Oh my gosh, Gayle! I mean, we were geeking.
I was just
over
telling
that.
him I couldn't believe
Saturday
it.
morning.
Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings. You watch Abbott Costello.
Oh my gosh!
And you draw a direct line from that. You say that Jack Benny created this persona. He valued his money more than his life. He was cheap. You draw a direct line to Jimmy Kimmel and Matt Damon in this long-running feud that they have, which I didn't know was a bit. Even the statement, Elle, that they give you for the book, I asked you in the green room, I said, was this a bit or is that a real statement?
It's a real statement. It's a real statement. Well, it wasn't, he didn't come up with it, right? He was in response.
It was in response to his colleague, Fred Allen.
So Fred Allen made a joke about it, and he was like, fine, you want to pretend I'm cheap? I'm going to play I'm cheap, and I'm going to get back at you by saying, not only, I'm going to embrace it, and he made it his own.
So that's what's in this book, these lessons.
Yeah, what do you want people to know about sketch comedy? Because I'm not sure people really understand. You tell a great story in the book about when you were little and you heard your dad laugh at Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
First time you heard him.
The first time I heard my dad really belly laugh was at Eddie Murphy. And during a sketch where Eddie Murphy was doing an impersonation of Stevie Wonder.
I remember that,
and
yes.
it was, do you remember that sketch?
Yes,
of course we do.
Because it's like, is that inappropriate? Is that inappropriate? Is that okay to do? But you knew I want to do that. Sketch comedy is what? What is it exactly?
I think part of it is that it's one of the shorter art forms. And the fact that that you can tell a whole story, a beginning, a middle, and an end, in 3 to 5 minutes is really an extraordinary thing. And it's an art form that's different than anything else we see. You know, TV shows are an hour, movies are 2 hours, but there's something about the digestible morsel that is a sketch.
I like, too, what you all talk about race, putting the race in race. You've got one thing about calling all colors and the importance of that.
Yeah, that was good.
Don't you like how you go white, 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 Desi Arnaz, white, 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 Flip Wilson, white, 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 Dave Chappelle. What is the point you all are making there, Elle?
That the comedy for so long has been very, very, let's say,
vanilla.
Everyone kind of fit in the same lane.
Yes.
And so that along the way there have been these little kind of pops of different kinds of people from different perspectives. And right now, more and more, certainly with the internet and all the people that can put out content, we're getting content from
all different perspectives.
But Gayle, you said something interesting. You said that, is that inappropriate? You write that you want to write comedy where people go, that's too much. I can't handle that.
I can't believe they went there.
I can't believe they went there.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
Do you like that kind of comedy, Gayle, when you see,
Yes,
you're like,
yes, I actually
you do, yeah.
But you say anything is fair game in comedy as long as what?
As long as you come at it at the right angle. And sometimes that's the work, that's the craft in the journey of the art and craft of humor. The craft is finding the right way into a joke. Because you can make anything funny. You can talk about religion, you can talk about politics, as long as you find, and it takes a while, but as long as you find the right way in, the right angle.
I like what you talk about Key and Peele. You said you guys are bonded for life, that you will always be very tight, because that gave us some of the best humor.
Oh my gosh.
I still like
Mr.
Garvey to this day.
Mr. Garvey is our hero.
One of the things that we talk about in the book is that Mr. Garvey, one of the reasons why it's so popular is it's a sketch that has a game in it.
Yeah.
And the game is to try to figure out what he's going to say and try to, I know what D-nice means, or I know what this, and get ahead of it.
Yes.
And we both have a huge affinity for sketches that have some kind of game that you get to figure out, so the audience at home goes, wait, I figured it out, I know what the next thing is, and that's the fun part.
But I'm curious, how would Mr. Garvey say Vlad? How would Mr. Garvey say Klaus?
Oh, you mean Vlad? Vlad Kilaus?
How would he say Vlad?
It's Vlad Kilaus up in here.
Okay, I like it. They said I gotta go. How would he say Tony and Nate? Then I'm going.
Tony, how to say Tony and Nate?
Yeah.
You mean Nate? Tony and Nate?
Thank you, Elle Key.
That's your new nickname.
And her husband, Nate.
Nate.
The history of sketch comedy is on sale now. Wherever you like to buy your books.
Taylor Tomlinson performing stand-up for her first hour-long Netflix special. It was called Quarter Life Crisis. She's a rising star in the world of comedy, best known for her self-deprecating humor and references to mental health, and all of it is getting noticed. In 2021, she made the prestigious Forbes 30 Under 30, and a year later, Time featured her on its Time 100 Next list. Now Tomlinson has been hitting the road for her Have It All tour, and only on CBS Mornings, Taylor Tomlinson joins us now. Taylor, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
The midlife tour is going to be even better, but you're great right now.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So good, in fact, that you are headlining Radio City.
Yeah.
Which is something that, to name a few comedians, Chelsea Handler has done, Chris Rock has done, Jerry Seinfeld has done, Dave Chappelle has done.
You're really setting me up to fail here.
I mean,
a couple
what's it
people
like?
who've done it, legends.
Jeez.
What are you doing there?
Gosh, I mean, like, when you think about your name and those names, how do you feel?
I mean, look, I've just been hanging out under that sign all weekend going, do you guys know who that is?
It's me.
I might be. And everyone's like, can you get out of the way? No, I can't believe, I used to live in New York part-time and I used to walk by Radio City all the time and think like, yeah, maybe someday, like maybe in 10 years when I belong in that list of names you just rattled off. But yeah, the fact that we're doing not 1 but 2 shows this weekend is like crazy to me.
And this all
And they're sold out, Taylor.
Sunday there's a few tickets left, but yeah, Saturday
in the
sold
nosebleed
out.
section, yes. yes.
So, and this all began in a church basement following stand-up classes. Do I have that right?
Yes, I took a stand-up class from a church comedian, which is a thing. It sounds like it's made up, but it is real.
It is a thing.
There's a church circuit, as it turns out. Yeah. Not a huge one, but there is. So that's how I started.
What made you want to take that class?
I think a woman at church, I was 16, so a woman at our church was like, you should go to this with your daughter. She likes to write, right? Like, that might be good. But yeah, I didn't even know stand-up was a job when I was a teenager. So I like really needed a class or something to tell me what was possible.
I will say this to people, if they haven't seen your Netflix comedy specials, please go and see, because what I like about your humor, it's so relatable, whether it's black, white, young, old, a couple of things she says. Rough years, I've had a couple of rough years. I got bangs, people are texting me, asking me, am I okay? The moment when you say, well, maybe it's me, my 5 past guys that I've dated said you behave like a raccoon trapped in a trash bag. You have issues. Been there. The other one you said, mental illness. A friend of yours said, mental illness is like your middle name. I didn't know what it was, but I knew you had one.
Yeah.
This is the thing you do, Taylor. You take stuff that could be uncomfortable and difficult and very personal. You talk about your mother's death, and you figure out a way to bring comedy to it. How are you able to do that?
Oh, I don't think.
And what did it take to do that?
It definitely took a few years. I think when I was younger, I had written some of those jokes that you referenced about losing my mom. I had written some of those in my early 20s, and I just didn't have the maturity as a performer to pull them off. I mean, audiences already kind of feel bad for you when you're that age. Like, they're a little impressed that you're public speaking as a young person. Like, public speaking as a young person is like being a dog that can skateboard. Everybody's like impressed, but they're like, why are you doing that? Why are you up there? It's like, is he good at it? He's like, not really, but he's a dog. He shouldn't be doing it at all. So yeah, it definitely took a few years to get to a place where I could make that work in front of audiences all over the country. So you just have to really like know who you are and really be okay with it.
Yeah, and you're okay with talking about your family quite a bit. So do you give them a warning before you add them into your set? And how do they respond when they actually see?
Before I tape it, I always run it by family members. I don't think jokes are worth losing relationships over. I have a hard time making friends as an adult, so I'm like, we can't lose family members.
Can't sacrifice it.
No, can't sacrifice. But very rarely has anyone said, please don't talk about that. So I'm lucky in that way.
Let's talk about you and pictures of you as a kid, because something you do on Instagram is post them and then write the captions, and we've got some of them. This one involving, I don't know, a star for some reason.
I mean, that kid thought she was really gonna be somebody, and with that...
She was right.
And it turns out to be 100%
Against
accurate.
all odds. Like, do you remember the year in elementary school that you're like, I found my look?
Yeah.
It's these flowy sleeves and this greasy half ponytail.
And what is that, the hula skirt?
That's the last time I went to a party. That's the last time I wore a bikini. That I really look like I'm living it up, though.
You're raging
Look like
right
you're
there.
having a good time.
That is a long night there. And then we have me also, if you have anything to say.
I remember when I cut my own bangs. We all did it. You kind of look like a dad on vacation.
We've all done that.
Yeah.
Tony, that haircut is amazing.
It's so good.
Nate,
You actually look pretty cool.
Thank you.
You look like you're reasoning with
You
someone.
are locked in on the camera.
I'm like,
Oh,
the
yeah.
hand gesture.
Taylor, look at his hands.
I was
I
really
know.
good at convincing people what I
Look
wanted.
at his hands,
Yeah.
even then.
And my closing argument for staying awake longer.
That's exactly what it
It
is.
does look like that.
I mean, these are just great photos. Like, I was so upset because I got sent photos of you guys as kids before the show, peek behind the curtain, for people who don't understand television.
And I thought we were gonna do funny photos, and they just sent me great ones. Like,
I think the bangs on the headband and the big teeth and the big lips, I think that's pretty funny.
I think you're pulling off the bangs.
Oh,
I really
okay.
do. Like, I
Mid-forehead.
realized I brought in pictures that were taken on like digital cameras, so we could take bad photos.
Yeah.
And these are like, oh, we kept the good ones.
But Gayle, these are both your stages as a journalist. It's, hey, nice to meet you, so great to have you. And then I have some questions that we need to get to. I have a few things to say.
I have a follow-up.
I have a follow-up. But Taylor, this is what they say about you, New York Times. She demonstrates tight joke writing and a ruthless appetite for laughs. Tomlinson has the strange honor of being one of the breakout stars of this pandemic. And Tomlinson works with the intensity of someone who learned early in life that life can be short. Bravo, bravo.
Bravo is right.
How does it feel? I mean, you were like a rocket shooting up.
Oh, that's so
Keep
nice.
soaring.
I mean, it's so funny to be called like a strange case of being successful during the pandemic, because when COVID hit, my special had just come out, my first
Taylor.
one.
They're giving me the big computer taking us off countdown, and I want to say the name of it. The Have It All tour continues.
All right, turning now to our next guest, comedian Hannah Gadsby. Gadsby became a household name after the release of their groundbreaking comedy special, Nanette. That was back in 2018. That Netflix special earned them a Peabody Award and a Primetime Emmy Award. Now they're back with their third Netflix special called Hannah Gadsby, Something Special. In it, they discuss getting married, living with autism, and also share some pretty funny family stories. Hannah Gadsby joins us now. Good morning, Hannah. That was hilarious. I watched this special this past week and could not stop laughing. And, you know, I want to ask you this. It's a different tone than your previous specials. You said that you've dragged audiences through all your stuff, as you put it, for many years now, and this is the payoff.
Yeah, you know, I play the long game. You get it?
Yeah.
So I just, I wanted to show, like, Nanette, my first special on Netflix was hard, talking about a bit of trauma. Want to see that there's another side of it. I surprise people. And, you know, sometimes I feel like in today's climate, there's a lot of anti-LGBTQ sentiment in the world. And I feel like I'd like to create a show where my people just have a nice time.
And this was a romantic comedy of sorts.
Well,
too.
yeah, go for it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and you were saying that in kind of putting a little message out to the world, this also relates to your own love story. And tell us a little bit about this wedding cake that you got.
Well, we had trouble. There's a lot of decisions. I don't know if you've heard of marriage, but there's a lot of decisions involved. And we got decision fatigue very quickly because neither of us had thought about weddings. And then we came up with an idea of just like, what do you want? And instead of a list, it's the first thing you thought. So where should we get married? It's like, under that tree. And then what sort of cake would you like? And I said, I want a shark cake. So then we
For your wedding cake?
Yes, with a shark, and we got a Christian baker to make it so that they didn't know it was a wedding cake, but we did. We feel very clever.
It's a feel-good special, but you don't specify who's going to feel good.
No, Christian bakers will feel terrible. But they're artists, you know.
Now, you mentioned rhetoric surrounding the LGBTQ plus community. And I remember when Dave Chappelle had some jokes about the trans community, you came out and spoke to Netflix and the CEO of Netflix and wanted to make sure that voices were heard. So much so you signed a multi-year deal with them. Why was it important for you to make that statement and then say, I want to change the perspective as a stand-up comedian?
Well, you know, I'm a big believer in freedom of speech. So, you know, you use speech to say something else as opposed to circling what's already being said. So to change the conversation, you know, I wanted to just, you know, help lift up newer comedians. It's, you know, getting that lift out of up into a next level of comedy is quite difficult. So I want to retire soon. I'm getting old.
Retire soon?
What? Oh. I don't know how you get up every day. This
You're
is
at the top of your game now.
That's when you leave. You leave them wanting more, I've heard.
Well, you also don't shy away from controversial topics in any kind of way.
Yeah, I probably should, though. You know, I feel like
your agent says it's okay, just keep going. But let me ask you this. So you're also in town right now in New York because you have a pretty special exhibit that's opening later this week, and it's about Pablo Picasso, who you've railed against in the past. So now you're curating an exhibit dedicated to him. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, it's his 50th anniversary of his death, so I think that's worth celebrating. But the Picasso Museum in Paris is, coordinated with museums all around the world to celebrate his legacy. And so the Brooklyn Museum reached out to me and said, do you want to complicate that legacy with us? And I said, I sure would. So it's opening end of this week, and it's a feminist perspective, so we're including a lot of works by feminists to sort of, minimise him. He'll survive. I don't feel like Picasso's gonna
disappear anytime soon.
Well, he's dead, so his feelings can't technically be hurt, so I'm not terribly sad for him, but we just wanted to shake the conversation up a little bit.
In the list of top 3 questions comedians hate the most and find annoying, this next one's probably on there.
What do you got? I'm glad you're asking.
Yeah, so I'm going with it.
Yeah.
What is the secret to making people laugh?
Ooh. Oh, not this.
Yeah, no, I know.
Early mornings. This is the death of comedy.
We like to think we're pretty funny.
You are, but for my recipe that requires people to be drunk. I'm sure there's a few people. Hello?
Definitely.
We spot them all.
Some of our viewers are just waking up on the couch from the night before.
Yeah, well,
so
where do you think I came from? It's a weird... I don't know all the time why people laugh at me, but I just keep repeating it. You wait. When people laugh, you work out why they laughed, and then keep doing it.
Sometimes your jokes are not even jokes, they're just beautiful and phrases that make you laugh for days on end. Like a perineum of time. It's not the destination, but it's kind of fun to be there. I feel that way about this interview.
This interview is not the destination.
Well, this is the job goes on from here.
We're not going to unpack this.
No, let's leave it there.
Let's just have a very happy memory of this conversation.
Yeah.
This was pleasant, and this was wonderful.
Pleasant to you too, Nancy.
Wonderful, Hannah Gadsby. Thank you very much for joining us. And you can watch Hannah Gadsby Something Special now on Netflix.
We're going to turn now to stand-up comedian, love her too. Zarna Garg is her name. She's here in studio. Garg was a stay-at-home mom for 16 years before she tried her first open mic job in her 40s. It wasn't long before she gained fans at comedy clubs and on social media. She has more than, listen to this, 15 million likes on her TikTok account alone. Her first stand-up special on Prime Video is called 1 in a Billion. Zarna Garg, as you see, is here at the table. And I guess we can thank your children for this turn in your life.
Well, I mean, thank them or blame them.
Or blame them.
However you see
But
it.
your kids encouraged you, Mom, you should try stand-up comedy. Did you think you were funny?
No, never. I still don't really. Like, I mostly just go out there and like rant and yell at my kids and their friends and who. Like, if I'm at Duane Reade and I see the checkout guy, I'm like, please take the MCATs. Please, why aren't you take the CPA exam on Saturday? Like, I don't know. I can't stop myself.
But they encouraged you, though. They said you should, because did you want a job? You said you had been home for 16 years. Were you looking for a job?
Yes, I really wanted to get back into the workforce. 16 years of being home strips you of your self-confidence. But I wanted a job that came with money and income. And my kids are like, do stand-up comedy. I'm like, that's not a job.
Yeah.
So in the stand-up, you have great stage presence. You know how to be a stand-up. You own the space. You pause and you let the applause land. The laughs land. Like all that is a talent and a skill.
Yeah.
How did you go from never done it before to that?
Good question.
So in the Indian community, comedy is not a thing. We don't believe in fun. No, it's a thing. Like, we are stressed out people and we prefer it that way. We're preparing for the apocalypse at all times. So even though I was funny, I was the inappropriate one my whole life. I always saw things differently.
Yes.
But people would give me the mic at events, like, you say something, knowing that I'll say something probably wrong. I'll probably get trolled for it later, but make people laugh then. And I've been doing that my whole life, and I guess this became a bigger version of it.
Well, so one of the things that you do in your comedy, you don't hold back on anybody in your life, from your husband to your kids to your mother-in-law.
To your community.
Your community.
Yes,
As a first-generation American, I'm like scared for you, because I know the one thing we generally, when you have family not born in this country, is don't embarrass us in front of these Americans.
Yes.
And out there every day, you're doing that.
Yeah, it's too late. That ship has sailed. I'm a New Yorker. I'm part of the comedy community. I love this world now that I've discovered it.
Yes.
And why aren't we a part of it? I'm like, what? This has been going on? The first open mic I did, I was like, people do this? This is like, you know what I
and
mean?
get paid. But there were a couple times I thought, ooh, how is this going to play? You talk about spelling bees.
Yes.
And you said it, not me.
Yeah.
You said that 6 of the last 8 winners of spelling bees have been Indian, and the
Yes.
community was upset.
Devastated.
They were devastated because it wasn't 8 out of 8, because you said that translates to a C, and that's a chiropractor, and that's not a real doctor, you said.
Yeah.
But the thing that I find interesting, when you do look at the winners in the spelling bee, many of the winners are Indian.
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
Because we're not good at other things.
What do you mean?
What does that mean?
We're not athletes. We're not really singers. We don't know how. Don't get us to dance. Like, please.
Are you kidding? I've seen Bollywood.
Bollywood is not dancing. You just hop. It's like light hop and light. Not high hopping. Like light. Like just a little. You know what I mean?
So at good, they're good at spelling.
Yeah,
Indian kids.
and it's like, people think Asian parenting, like tiger parent. We're not that, because we're like sit in one room and read the book. That's the most parenting we can do.
But good at
We also
spelling.
have so many kids. How many events are you going to go to? Spelling's easier.
Good at spelling, but bad at spelling with your name. What's the story behind it?
Yeah, my name is misspelled. It's actually a misspelling. It's true. It was supposed to be Zarna with a J, which means waterfall in Hindi. But I was the youngest of 4, so I think my parents were like, let the servants name her. It's fine. And the servants were like, we've never used the Z. Nobody seems to use it. So, like, give it to her.
Now, I saw you, Zarna. We were on the train. Jurika was on the train.
Yes.
We were all there in different places. And you were heading to Washington because you were opening up for Tina Fey and Amy Poehler.
Yes.
So how did that go? You were on the road with them.
I mean, like, this is an only in America situation. This would not happen back home even for me. It's only in America that you can do work and somebody like Tina Fey and Amy Poehler would be like, we like it so much, you should be a part of our team. And, when you get that call, you're like, wait, I can tell your people how horrible my mother-in-law is? Yes, let's go.
But Zarna, you said that, you say that you believe that destiny brought you there for a reason, that you're on a train with Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, Gayle King, Jurika Duncan, all these people, and you said that brown women deserve to laugh.
Yes.
Yes.
Because in our culture, we don't laugh. Believe it or not, I'm a clean comic in America, right? But in India and in a lot of brown nations, women hide and watch my videos. They're not even allowed to watch what I do. Like, because making fun of your mother-in-law, even mentioning your religion, making fun of your husband.
No, you said your husband's superpower is logic. It's like being married to Clark.
Where is the cat?
It's like being married to Clark Kent, who doesn't become Superman. Logic
Everything
is a
with him
superpower.
is like, something falls on my head, he's like, you put too much stuff on it. I was like, that's helpful. You know what I mean? So, but in our culture, we don't do that. It's not encouraged. And like in this whole world, I'm the only one doing something. I thought when I came out from under the stay-at-home mom thing, I was like, I'm sure there's thousands of people doing this. Because you feel like everything's being done. And then I looked around, like, no one's doing it. No one wants to do it. What? And the world's biggest supervillain, the Indian mother-in-law?
No, your first show, they said just get 5 people in, and 90 people showed up.
Yeah.
You had to feel. No, people were very. Your
That was your
family
first time
very
on
proud of you
stage.
too. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Your husband's okay. Your kids are okay. They're proud of you. True. Okay.
Okay. You know what, Gayle? We take what we can get.
Okay. Zarna, we are cheering you on. I can't wait to see
Congratulations.
where you go from here. You can watch 1 in a Billion. It is hilarious. I had to run to the bathroom a couple times. Right now in Prime Video, I was laughing so hard.
Since his comedy career first kicked off, Wood has accomplished quite a lot, but this weekend might be his biggest stage yet. I met up with the comedian to learn a thing or two about writing jokes and the journey that led him to this major milestone.
I was raised in the South. I am a child of the South. Bury me in the South. But this is where it all started.
And you haven't been back here since you were like 1.
I've never visited this place as an adult.
Although comedian Roy Wood Jr. was born here in New York City, his childhood memories are of Birmingham, Alabama, the place he truly calls home. What was your childhood like?
You know, we lived on the west side of Birmingham and West End. There were gangs. There was a lot of, like, everything that you think the 80s was with White Flight and crack. It was around.
But Wood kept on the right path with the help of his mother, Joyce, a school administrator, and his father, Roy Sr., a highly regarded journalist who founded the first national radio network owned by Black Americans. Break that down for me. What was his mindset?
Anywhere where is Black folks in drama and guns, he would pull up.
His father survived reporting in war zones, but lost his battle with pancreatic cancer.
My father died my senior year of high school, and he was, for the most part, a significant part of the income in the house. We were a 2-income home. So I got a job. I started working at Baskin Robbins. I was working at Subway. I was working 30, 35 hours a week.
Between all those jobs, Wood ended up earning a degree in journalism too, studying at Florida A&M University, FAMU, before he was suspended over stealing. So wait, let's talk about that.
You can't be stealing credit cards and selling stolen clothes on campus and think we just gonna let you continue your education. So FAMU set my ass down, but that's what I needed. And like once I got back in school, I was dean's list the rest of the way.
Wood recognizes the university may have believed in him more than he did himself.
Black children are told from an early age that they are disposable. Mm-hmm. And I think it is important to be in a place where there's people around you who can remind you that your life isn't disposable. Because a lot of those people will probably almost dispose themselves.
Y'all know some of these amusement parks up to like $4 for a sip of lemonade. $4. A sip. That was $47 right there.
The year that I was suspended from school, that's when I started doing stand-up. I don't know how blessings work, but I know that I was at a low, and I found something that was an outlet for being at a low.
The girl called me up. She's like, Roy, did you have on a condom? I'm like, yes, I had on a condom. She said, good, because I don't want to be stuck with your forever.
When I was in college, I'd take my joke book to church, and my mom used to get mad at me for doing it. So I would just write on the church program, just premises would just fly in my head.
So a premise, like, you know, something you notice in church, something you notice in school?
No, just the most indecent thing you can, non-Christian thought you can have. And I would just be like, ooh, that'll be good. But I just look at it as God giving me, I came to church to get my re-up on jokes. Like, that's a quick one-liner about interracial dating.
He's kept all of those joke books, some dating back 20 years. Here's one. Used to be a time on this earth you could give a Girl Scout $4. 3 months later, five UPS trucks pull up to your house. I gave a Girl Scout $4. She bought me back 6 Oreos.
Yeah, these ain't even Girl Scout cookies.
Please welcome Roy Wood Jr.
With time, his jokes only got better. In 2006, he made his national television debut on The Late Show with David Letterman.
You ever been on a date so bad the girl makes you drop her off at another dude's house? You ever been through that?
He followed that milestone as a finalist on NBC's Last Comic Standing in 2008, and eventually landed stand-up gigs on Comedy Central.
If you want more people to stand for the anthem, change the song. That's half the problem right there.
Now, 25 years into his career, Wood is in his prime. He's a father to 6-year-old Henry and a correspondent on The Daily Show.
Which city treats black people the best?
Boston!
It's Atlanta, actually.
Which he guest hosted earlier this month after Trevor Noah's sign-off in December.
Look at that outfit. First day of court, he in a suit that don't even fit. Why would you do that? Gwyneth Paltrow showed you the cheat code, boy. You got to dress like you don't give a
If they were to offer you the job, what would you say?
If I'm offered an opportunity to have a direct line to Americans every night, 4 nights a week, you can't say no to that offer. Also, I already live here, so
it's easy.
I know the commute.
A love for laughter has led Wood to perhaps his biggest milestone yet, being the entertainer of this year's White House Correspondents' Dinner. When we talk about legacy, that'll be something that you'll be able to point to for your children and for your children's children.
It's an honor to speak and crack jokes on top of that, next to the president. But I think it's an even bigger responsibility to be able to talk directly to the people in the room that are pushing against a lot of the things that keep America from moving forward. Because I think the job of comedian is to be the voice of the regular person.
Being the voice for others. A lesson learned from his father. Do you think that he would find this a moment to applaud?
I think my father would be proud, but I think he'd be even prouder if I go up there and make sure that I'm talking about something real. Because when you have the microphone, you better have something to say. You just may not get it again.
Oh. Wow, goosebumps.
Right.
Yes.
You should mention you can catch Roy Wood Jr.'s special commentary mic drop on BET News Magazine, American Black. The show is a partnership between BET and CBS News. But
I think he's going to kill it. And
Oh, yeah.
So many are pulling for him.
Yeah. He is such a thoughtful, he's funny AF, right? We were all laughing through just those little snippets that we played
You said he's
of his
funny
comedy.
AF?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Funny as fuzz. Okay.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean.
Got
Yeah.
it.
But there's undercurrent of thoughtfulness and earnestness that it's very rare to encounter in somebody who makes a living making people laugh.
And now knowing this story, you know exactly where that came from. His father.
Yes.
Right?
A legend. This is a man, his father, who went to Vietnam to cover war zones and would come back and tell people what the experience for those soldiers and sailors and Marines was like here in the United States.
I love Roy's delivery and his facial expressions. And clearly you see he's on a mission. He has a game plan, and I think that he's so ready for this moment.
I think he's ready for this
as you
moment.
said, Nate, this is a big deal.
We'll all be there Saturday.
We'll all be there Saturday cheering him on.
Be at the show, Roy.
Yes, and the point that he makes, it's an honor to be there with the President of the United States, but it's more important that he recognizes there are people in that room who are pushing against things that keep America from moving forward.
And he has something to say.
And when you have the microphone.
Well done, Vlad.
Bargatze joins us now. Nate, welcome.
Thank you.
That's so true, Nate.
I've been to the Blockbuster.
You've been to that Bend, Oregon Blockbuster?
I've been to that Blockbuster. It's great. Like they have brand new movies.
Brand new movies.
And you can go in there and rent them. And the one part about Blockbuster that was bad though, if you didn't return it, it would be like $30,000. Like if you didn't.
You're a criminal.
Yeah, it was like they go way up.
Yeah. They're not going to stop. They're not gonna stop. And speaking of not stopping, this is a funny stand-up special. This is very good. I love it. It's good on so many levels. And one difference, and I've met your father. I went out to Nashville, profiled you. You talk about your dad a lot in this, more so than in the other specials. And you kind of take him into a little bit of criticism as changing in your childhood, going from the strictest parents of all time to something a little different. How'd your dad feel about that?
They get it. They laugh at it. It's, your parents just change. Like I was the first, I'm the oldest. And so my sister's 10 years younger than me, so they were much more relaxed with her. And then as they've gotten older, my dad got a tattoo. I wasn't thrilled about that because my sister got one, and my dad got one, and my mom now found out she has one, and I was pretty upset about all of them. And so they just change. Your parents just get like.
Yeah, you were saying they were strict with you, but when it came to your sister.
Yeah, I would get in trouble. For all the stuff they do now, I would be in big trouble.
You said you think your sister was raised by her best friends.
She was.
And also, this is what I love about your humor. It's so relatable. What happens when you're over the age of 40, all the medical forms you have to fill out, and family gatherings, when they say family history, you go, how many diabetes do we have in the room? How many heart attacks? Somebody speak up. Where does this come from for you, Nate, that you've made the decision clearly? You're not raunchy, you're relatable. You said when you were little, you couldn't even say the word sucks. You don't even use that kind of language.
Yeah, it was just very, it was stricter back then, I think. And I just started that way. I never wanted to have my parents be like, embarrassed. Not that they, I have like some comics that can be dirty, and their parents come to the show. I always say I'm a comic's parents comic. So like other comics would be like, well, go watch Nate. Like he's clean and he can do it. So it's just the way I started, and I lived in New York for like 9 years, and so you would kind of do your clean comedy. You didn't try to make it about it being clean. You're trying to hope people don't really notice.
It's working for you.
Do you keep that clean persona throughout your life? I know on the podcast, on Nate Land podcast, you do, but when you're sitting at home watching the news, with your family.
Yeah.
Is it a little different?
No. It's it stays clean. It just feels weird. I mean, it's not. I'm not perfect. It's like there could be a difference between hanging out with comics and like when I'm at home.
Of course.
Football. Like it's
like the locker room.
Yeah, where you have to like go like, oh, you're with normal people now.
Yeah.
And you have to like sometimes you have to go like, I gotta calm it down. Like,
Yeah.
But it's overall this is just it's just what I who I am.
It's personal, it's observational, but I'm pretty sure you observe things like Tony just mentioned when you're watching the news or some wild stuff happening in politics. You're like, this would be hilarious on stage, but you decide not to go into those things. Why?
A lot of people do it. They do it very well, and so it's like I just could feel. You sometimes can be tempted to think you want to. You think I need to say something or blah.
It's true.
But then everybody's saying something. There's enough people saying something. People are smarter than me. You don't need me. I just want to be a break.
Well, I said to Nate, were you a funny kid? And he goes, well, I guess so. And then showed me a picture of him and his dad. Can we please put the picture of him and his dad? Picture of Nate and his dad when he was a little boy. Do we not have the
Do we not have it?
We have.
Well, your dad is a magician now, but he was
this is a
a clown. There we go.
Your dad, what was your dad's clown name?
Yo-Yo the Clown.
Yo-Yo the Clown. So I'm thinking your humor has to come from Yo-Yo.
It does come from that. We have, it's great, I don't know how that picture, but there's pictures of just me, like they're trying to get pictures of just me as a 5-year-old, but then my dad's in like makeup behind me, because he was like about to go to a show. So yeah, that was like normal. I met the Easter Bunny. He did a show at a mall, and the Easter Bunny needed a ride home, and he brought him over.
So you said you named your special Hello World after something Tiger Woods said?
When he turned pro, he said, hello world. Like when he was 18, turned pro. I wanted a nice greeting and I wanted something to be like pleasant and welcoming. Yeah. And then that's also, I'm a giant Tiger fan.
Of course, who isn't?
So then hello world was like his kind of thing. So it was kind of like a little bit of a
nod.
Nod to him.
Congrats.
Yeah.
The special's hilarious.
Thank you so much.
Very good. Come by again very soon.
I would love it.
Hello World, now available on Prime Video. Nate Bargatze